Tonight, Tony Stark invents two completely impossible universe-changing technologies in one film. The Big Lebowski tries to murk him for it, and Carter tries the Richard Gere challenge with little sprinkles here.
You can go fuck yourself, because I'm not sticking anything up my butt.
All this and more on this episode of... I've waited for this, man. A really good movie?
Well, had we done a production order, we would have started with this one and hadn't gotten to any bad ones yet.
Yeah, but think about it like this. We're done with Captain Marvel.
Yeah, see, I can't disagree with that. I love that.
We're back, baby. Back in black.
Dun 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 dun. AC/DC opening. I like the fact that they decide that Iron Man is a heavy metal enthusiast. And not just a heavy metal enthusiast, classic heavy metal enthusiast.
It's because Ozzy made a song called Iron Man, so he likes hot rods and rock music.
They just went with that genre.
Yeah, no, exact. That's literally it. So they could play the Iron Man song in the credits.
Nothing wrong with it.
Speaking of the AC/DC heavy intro, we fade in on a convoy heading through the desert of Afghanistan, though it looks like Utah, to be honest.
Utah.
Yeah, that does not look like Afghanistan, and you and I both know that.
It really doesn't look like Afghanistan. It does look like somewhere slightly outside of California.
AC/DC strikes up and immediately sets the mood of the film, as we see soldiers looking intimidated by a snarky billionaire stereotypical playboy, crunching ice and making wisecracks.
I like how he manages to have a full fucking bucket glass with ice and liquor in the back of a Humvee.
Motherfucker, he's got entire cases of the shit with him.
Oh, I know.
Dude doesn't leave with a bottle, he leaves with the bar.
Well, we'll get into Tony Stark's drinking abilities.
His disarming banter perfectly loosens up his escort and continues setting the tone of the film, whilst perfectly introducing you to the lead. It is cringy, though. One of the soldiers straight asked the motherfucker if he really banged every Maxim cover model that year, which, even worse, he brags he kinda did. It's something a teen would think is a flex, but as a 40-year-old, I kinda roll my eyes.
It is definitely a of its times kind of flex. The past was really the worst.
Then everything goes to shit. An IED goes off, and they find themselves under attack. The soldiers all get killed one by one, and the billionaire egresses the vehicle to call for help, only to have a missile that says Stark Tech land at his feet and blow his ass back 20 feet with shrapnel in his chest. I like that he ripped open his shirt and he had some kind of high-tech body armor on underneath. Though some got through. I mean, of course, a fucking missile exploded next to him. It makes his survival a little more believable and was a good touch.
It was definitely a good touch. I liked the quick take when he realized the missile said Stark Tech and he was like, oh fuck. That was perfect timing. I guess now is as good as time to get into this. Iron Man. Tony Stark. Anthony Edward Stark is his full birth given name. First appeared in Tales of Suspense, number 39. Late 1962, but the cover date is March 63. He's created by Stan Lee and Larry Lieber, which is a weird coincidence because Stan Lee's real name is Leibowitz, so is Larry Lieber and Stan Leibowitz. OG artist Dan Heck and Jack Kirby, Jack the Man Kirby.
Is that like when two girls start stripping together and they just use each other's names as strippers' names?
Something like that.
Yeah. I mean, I know you DJ'd in a strip club, and I dated a lot of strippers, and we both know they do that.
Yeah. Yes, they do. They do. Kind of like that. Iron Man is probably one of the first characters that would do a take on current events and topics. The origin story of this film and the origin story of Iron Man differ very little except for maybe the location. Originally, Iron Man got his abilities, all of the shit that happened to him happened in Vietnam. He stepped on a booby trap, shrapnel in the heart.
Yeah, but all they did was update the war zone for the modern times.
All they did was update the word. They didn't even change many of the names. It's like the beat for beat, almost identical. The origins are the same. Only updated for a more modern film. And Afghanistan, of course.
Because the terrors.
I also enjoy this film because it is, like, when this came out, it was the first MCU film.
Mm-hmm.
And it was highly anticipated. And all we had to this point was Spider-Man, and we were coming off of Spider-Man 3. Ugh.
X-Men, Spider-Man, but, like, there was a disconnectedness to all of that.
Right. There wasn't a joint, shared universe.
What I mean is you knew it wasn't Marvel.
Right.
And we all knew that this was. And it was like DC making DC films. Marvel wasn't making Marvel films. And now this was going to be Marvel making Marvel films. And it kind of was a big deal.
It was a huge deal. This studio hadn't existed before this movie, really.
Yeah, not in the sense of what we know it as a major studio, no.
No.
With Disney distribution.
Right.
Fading to white, we then see the billionaire in the hostage video situation. Masked Islamic jihadists making a grandiose showing of their nefarious achievement and demands. Our lead is shitting himself knowing half these videos end with the hostage getting his head cut off brutally. He's bandaged up, and in a bad way, seemingly barely holding on to lucidity. There's also a 10 Rings flag in the background. Take it away, Carter.
Well, the 10 Rings. The MCU did something very clever with the 10 Rings. Iron Man's most famous villain is the Mandarin, and he has 10 magical rings, one on each finger.
That sounds racist.
Each ring controls a different ability of power, energy, the mind, fire, etc. What the MCU did with the 10 Rings, and to make it less fantastical, is turn them into a terrorist organization. And I was very excited to see the 10 Rings in the first Iron Man movie because I was hoping to get a Mandarin with his 10 magic rings. But the MCU didn't do that. They actually did something, I think, a little bit better, a little bit more clever. And we'll get more into the Mandarin and the 10 Rings as we progress through this whole series because, as we both know, and, 15-year-old spoilers? Turns out there really is a Mandarin.
We get there in Iron Man 3, but it would have been so much better if Ben Kingsley was the Mandarin and he was controlling all these Islamic jihadists, like, as just like some British guy. And it was like a Clayton Bixby thing.
It would have been so much better if Ben Kingsley was the Mandarin. Because,
And they didn't do what they did, but we'll get there later.
Yeah.
I love this quick scene, by the way. The ringing in the ears, the claustrophobic close-up, and the blur that heightens dread and confusion. All pulled back with a snap of the camera upon realization. It's brilliant.
Oh, no, the cinematography and direction in this whole movie is on point. The quick cutaways and the rapid-fire editing, it's done really well.
I do have a lot of issues with the editing and pacing and the cuts and how they choose to show time passing in their cuts, or lack of actually showing time passing in their cuts.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say that they do a really good job of getting you to feel the emotion of a scene with their blocking and their framing.
Oh, yeah. This movie did very well when it came out.
It's pretty good now. It holds up. The ultimate thing you've noticed so far in these, after everything we say, good and bad, and all our jokes, it's like, does it hold up? Like the first one was sadly no, it was good at first and it doesn't hold up. And the second one was, it was shit when it came out and it's worse now.
Well, there you have it.
This one holds up. I'm going to tell you right now, spoiler alert for the rest of this review.
There you have it. Spoiler alert. This movie holds.
Anyway, title.
Iron Man. The invincible Iron Man.
No, it doesn't say that shit. Get out of here. He's vincible.
He's vincible. He's been around since nearly the beginning. He is an OG Avenger, and by OG Avenger, I mean one of the original 5.
Back when he looked like an iron lung.
And we'll get into the original Avengers in a few movies. I think we got, 4 movies between now and then? But, yeah. Iron Man's an OG guy, and some of the best stories were told in Iron Man stories, and it's really kind of a shame that when this movie was announced, he had fallen so far off of popularity. I was like, Iron Man? Why would you pick Iron Man? There's so many other heroes out there. What, like Iron Man? Come on. But I'm glad they did.
Now fade in on 36 hours earlier, and we get the most glazing character expo dump of all time as an awards show plays a promo package on the billionaire they call Tony Stark. Tony is, of course, Howard's son from Captain America, but Howard is different now. Even though this was made before Cap 1, and this guy will be Howard again in Civil War and Endgame.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how they have a very young Dominic Cooper.
Just randomly played Howard in the middle.
And then the old Howard Stark is Walt Disney. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it does. He looks like a fucking military Walt Disney.
Well, Stan Lee famously based him on Howard Hughes. So, I guess, kind of Walt Disney-esque.
Close enough. Whatever. One eccentric billionaire for another.
Right. And it's kind of funny because they base kind of Howard Stark on the 60s Tony Stark, and they moved Tony Stark up into the modern era. So, it's kind of the same.
But whatever. Tony is a genius. He's Steve Jobs and Bill Gates rolled into Nikola Tesla. His parents died when he was young, and Obadiah Stane, played by the guy from Tron, took over the company until Tony was 21. These photoshopped young Robert Downey Jr. photos are hilarious, by the way.
Do you notice in one of the photos he's standing in the Iron Man repulsor pose? He's got both hands out, but one hand's in front of the other, and he's kind of doing that cha-cha. Look. That is going to be a reoccurring pose for him throughout these movies.
So he was thinking pocket sand.
Yes, pocket sand. It looks like pocket sand in the photo.
It does.
But if you think about it, that's how Iron Man fires almost always fires his repulsor beam.
And it makes sense with the repulsors. And it even makes sense if he just adopted that pose afterwards. But beforehand, it's like, what was he thinking? Pocket sand?
Exactly. Beforehand, you're like, what was he thinking?
What are you doing that pose for?
What is that pose? Is that
for real?
But then once he gets the repulsors on, then it just makes sense. It's the repulsor pose.
Yeah. Like, he struck it so many times, and it's epic. Like, of course he's going to aura farm with that.
Right.
Again, we digress. Tony makes weapons. If it shoots things or goes boom, he makes it smarter, stronger, faster, and better. And he's fucking rich because of it. He's also being awarded the Apogee Award by his best friend that he treats like shit. Oh, and lastly, he's not here.
Are we talking about James Rupert Rhodes? Also known as Rhodey.
You want to tell me about Rhodey?
We can talk about Rhodey a little bit. Rhodey wasn't introduced until much later. And okay, to really get into this, you kind of have to get into the history of Tony Stark, first and foremost. He had a famous company he inherited from his parents, who died in a car crash caused by a rival company that would later turn out to be the Roxxon Oil Company. Now everybody's like, who the hell is Roxxon? It doesn't really matter at this point. Maybe if we talk about Loki later on, we'll talk about Roxxon. I know in the MCU, his parents died in a car crash and they were killed by the Winter Soldier. It didn't quite happen like that in the comic books. Just know that Tony Stark's father was an alcoholic. Tony Stark was raised by an alcoholic.
Are you telling me that guy that fell off the train a couple episodes killed Tony's parents? Wait, I shouldn't even know he's the Winter Soldier yet. Ah, fuck it.
Yeah, that guy. And yes, you should know he's the Winter Soldier yet.
Damn it, I fucked up the continuity.
Spoiler for another 15-year-old movie.
Yeah, we're bad about ruining these decades-old movies for people.
Yes, we are. So, Tony's drinking problem stems a lot from the emotional abuse he had from his father. He actually got into technology and went to MIT to escape the abuse of his father. That being said, later on in life, after he inherited the company, Obadiah Stane and a few of his allies engineered a lot of mishaps in Tony's lives to get him to drink heavily. And he lost the company. He lost the company to Stane. He lost all the rights to all of his Iron Man armor and all of this point.
I paid every girlfriend you had to leave you, Tony.
It's kind of like that in the comic books. There's a whole lot of fucked up, really convoluted bullshit. But enter James Rhodes at this period in time. See, Tony
This was a long intro for Rhodey.
It was, right?
Forgot what we were talking about.
Tony had a problem. He couldn't be Iron Man anymore because in the comic books, Iron Man is a secret identity as his bodyguard, and then he got framed for killing a bunch of people, so he blamed it on the guy who didn't exist, yada, yada, yada. Enter James Rhodes. Now, Tony and Rhodes in the comic books were old war buddies from Vietnam. Tony met Rhodes there. He was a Vietnam Air Force pilot and weapons liaison. You know, you asked me before we did this, like, what did Rhodey do? And after going back and doing more research and reading about Rhodey and some of the comics and everything, I realized Rhodey didn't do shit. He was exactly what he is in the comic or in the movie. He's just a weapons liaison and Tony's bud from the war. And that's it. And in the MCU, it doesn't make sense because Tony was never in the war.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, it's a weird friendship to begin with. But at some point, James Rhodes had to take over the mantle of Iron Man. He first appeared in Iron Man 118 in January of 1979. And then he took the mantle of Iron Man in 1983 in issue 169 and didn't make his final appearance as War Machine until issue 291 in 93. So he had a very long, convoluted character arc to get to where he is by Iron Man 2.
Well,
join the Air Force. Not just a job, not just a uniform. It's a lifestyle, a confusion, a contradiction. Meet Colonel James Rhodes. Officially, Head of Weapons Development. Unofficially, Diplomat, Babysitter, Iron Man Wrangler, Celebrity Escort, Award Show Presenter, Human Apology Letter. Start as a humble cadet, work your way up, and if you're lucky, you too can one day give humanitarian medals to weapons manufacturers. Be told you're in charge while being ignored. Say, Tony, no, 30 times a day before noon. Who needs a defined job description when you've got access clearance, unresolved stress, and a front row seat to the most catastrophic ego trip in modern history? Because leadership is knowing when to tell the press it was just a training exercise. The U.S. Air Force. Fly. Fight. Fetch Tony Stark out of Vegas again. This message brought to you by the Department of Strategic Confusion and Budget Justification. Promotion to colonel requires flight hours, politics, and being the only adult in a 50-mile radius. Does not guarantee access to prototype suits, script rewrites, or narrative respect. Side effects include stress, sarcasm, a front row seat to every bad decision a billionaire makes, and possibly being recast. Must be good at math, but will be replaced by Don Cheadle. Brody not included. He's busy doing literally everything else. The U.S. Air Force. It's not just the sky that's the limit.
back to Rhodey. Standing up holding that award for a guy who isn't there. Get on up there, Rooster, and accept the award. Cover for the guy playing craps on the strip currently. Dude, Rhodey mad.
Rhodey's big mad. And he's big mad because this whole opening intro just goes to establish what a narcissistic, egomaniacal asshole Tony is.
He said, motherfucker, you said if I got dressed up and flew to Vegas to present this in front of all these stuffy white people, you'd be honored. We forget how massive of a dick Tony was in the beginning of the MCU.
Oh, a massive dick. The first half of this movie is just him being a dick, which makes, I don't know, it just makes his character turn in the cave weird. It just, that whole time condensed. He had to have spent months and months and months with Yinsen.
This guy emasculates and humiliates Rhodes before outing his entire name and rank for the casino. Oh, and look, much skinnier Jon Favreau.
Oh, we can talk about Happy Hogan, too. He's been around for a while. Happy Hogan first appeared in Tales of Suspense number 45, 1963. It's like, he's been around almost as long as Iron Man. Pepper Potts appeared in the same issue as well.
He's got like 60 seconds of screen time and no lines in this movie, and he ends up being like CEO of the Avengers.
Yes.
His character gets some promotions.
Happy Hogan has a great character development in the MCU.
Yeah, he bangs Peter's aunt.
In the comic books, he hooks up with Pepper Potts. They run off and elope.
Damn, I wasn't ready for that.
I didn't think you would be.
So then reporter lady comes up and is like, hey, Tony, can I get a few lines for my column? And without even turning around, he's asking Johnny, is she cute? And dude doesn't even miss a beat. He just says, she's all right. His only line in the film.
Is it really?
Yeah.
That's the only thing he says in this whole movie, huh?
It's the only thing he says in the whole film.
He's got so many more lines in the next movie. Wild. I didn't even notice that. I'm so used to him being there, he's ubiquitous.
So Tony got his interest mildly piqued. He's going to play her game a little bit and have some fun. She glazes at first, and then says, yeah, you also the merchant of death. And he straight ponders aloud, ooh, I think I like that one. Bruh, early Tony was not in a good place, and we thought Steve had fucking issues.
Oh no, early Tony was a warmonger. He was all about that dollar bill, y'all, and make the biggest bomb. I mean, he says so in the introduction to the Jericho missile.
He's sharp, witty, rapid fire, and charming, though. In fact, even after insulting and sparring with the reporter, he still beds her.
Absolutely. I mean, because after all, he is Tony Stark.
Tony wakes to his AI butler in Malibu, and the reporter wakes to Coldplay's ex-wife kicking her out. Goop Lady here plays Pepper Potts, Tony's ever-faithful assistant. This shit was cold, too. I mean, she's like, here's your clothes, cab's outside, here's your hooker fare, get out, nameless trash girl number 2657.
I know. That was probably one of the cattiest scenes I've ever seen in television. Anything and everything Mr. Stark asked me to do, including sometimes taking out the trash.
Yeah, and a lot of people like feel bad for the reporter, like being thrown out like that, and some people don't think about it at all. But like, I think the thing here is Pepper has gone through this shit so much, and it's pretty dehumanizing for a woman to just work for a guy who sees women as disposable objects.
Oh, it's gotta be. It's gotta be. I mean, this is so old hat for her, it doesn't even faze her.
That's why, like, it's really hard for me to believe her falling for him when in real life, being around this guy for this long, she probably would be like more guarded.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. In the comic books, they date for a hot second, but Tony does not ever hook up with Pepper. A lot of other chicks. She-Hulk.
A lot of other chicks.
A lot. Emma Frost.
Yeah. A lot of chicks.
A lot of chicks.
Tony's just working on a car and holding up traffic schedules at his local airport so he can be a petulant child. I mean, they beat this in, too.
They do. He's all, it's my plane. I figured it'd wait for me. It is my plane. It's the reason you own a plane, right?
Yeah, but you schedule that because they need to monitor and control a bunch of traffic and other takeoffs and landings, and they can't just wait on you, bro.
Right?
They beat his petulance in. He's buying way overpriced art and storing it just so no one else can buy it. He's throwing tantrums when Pepper tries to get him to go to work or make decisions.
Yeah. He's working on a 32 flathead roadster. That's like, yeah. They want to establish he has money. He is spoiled.
And is a child.
Yeah.
We then cut to an Audi commercial.
I was thinking that when I saw that too. It's like, man, they paid a fortune. And Matthew, you would be surprised. No, you wouldn't be. He has an Audi in every film. He drives an Audi in every film. An updated Audi in every movie. You won't be able to unsee it now. I think in the Avengers he has a Tesla. But in all the Iron Man movies, they're all Audis. And Civil War, I'm pretty sure it's an Audi too. They're all Audis. Just saying.
Man, also, I just want to say, Tony made Rhodey stand on the tarmac for 3 hours.
I'm going to ask you something here, Matthew. Now, you've been in the military and you've had to wait. Would you have sat on the tarmac for 3 hours, or would you have
no.
Would you have told him you sat on the tarmac for 3 hours?
Yes, I definitely would have told him, but I would not have.
I believed Rhodey not at all in that moment. It's like, no way you stood here for 3 fucking hours.
Standing on the tarmac for 3 hours. But he's definitely going to say he did.
Oh, yeah, definitely going to say he did.
Rhodey mad as shit until Tony bust out the sake.
I think that's so funny. I'm not drinking on this plane, and now I'm so drunk.
Well,
Can we talk briefly about Terrence Howard's math problem and why he wasn't in the second movie?
Can we talk briefly about how his roadie actually kind of sucks in retrospect now that we have seen what Don Cheadle's done with it? But yes, go ahead and talk about him.
Well, Terrence Howard famously demanded Robert Downey Jr. money for the second movie.
Famously.
And, of course, the studio said no and hired Don Cheadle. Now everybody loves Don Cheadle. Just saying.
He's the parfait of black actors.
Everybody loves parfait. And I kind of blame it on Terrence Howard. The dude is famously bad at math. He's just famously bad at math.
That's another thing he's famous for. He makes up his own math, and it don't math.
It don't math. And I'm pretty sure that's what the executives in the studio were saying. It's like, your math is bad, homie. But 1 and 1 is not 2. I'm like, well...
So where are they going on this private fucking plane, you might ask? Vegas again? New York? Fucking Afghanistan. Tony is standing in the wide open of nowhere with the mountains behind him giving a Comic-Con reveal speech for his new missile, the Jericho. In Afghanistan. This is where he is, showing this off to the military. Not in Nevada or Arizona, in an active war zone. You're right, Marvel, he's a genius.
I often thought about that myself. It's like, why wouldn't you do this where they tested the gamma bomb that made the Hulk? I mean, it's right in the backyard there. It's safe.
Just go to Alamogordo, where they had the Trinity test.
I mean, you're not going to get kidnapped in Vegas. I'm just saying.
I mean, you might, but you might like it.
Right. It'll be a different kind of kidnapping.
Yeah.
Less bullets.
They shoot the missile. It breaks apart. Lots of small booms make one really big boom. And Tony stands without turning to look 90s cool. The brass goes ooh and ah. There's a couple of touches I like here besides RDJ's effortless charm and salesmanship. When he's aura farming in the shockwave, he actually gets blown forward a step or two.
Yeah, it definitely almost knocks him off his feet as it shocks everybody. Like, he was kind of prepared for it, but still not quite prepared for it.
I like that touch. It made it feel like a real shockwave and not just a guy just standing on a set, with an air blower behind him.
Yeah.
But his pose was almost like Christ on the cross.
Yes.
Which definitely was way more to say of his ego here, but actually kind of prophetic in a huge way in retrospect.
On both points. It was all catering to his ego in that moment, but it was a sense of foreboding and foreshadowing of his position after.
Yeah. Because, he does become White Jesus.
Well, yeah, his whole arc is...
White Jesus.
And, spoilers for all the movies, but his whole overall arc is about peace, right? After this moment, they're in the cave and everything. After that, Tony's arc is about peace. Peace in our time, peace in the world. All I want is peace. That's all he talks about.
Peace in the East.
He has a great arc. I mean, looking back from this movie to the end, looking back and, in retrospect, he has a great character arc.
Yeah.
It's one of the better character arcs of a character in a movie that, you couldn't do it without telling the story over 10, 12 years.
Tony makes his sale and gets a drink. He tells Rhodey that he can't join the Fun V, and the convoy takes off, bringing us back to the opener. Time for the icky, glitchy, trippy surgery mini montage.
You mean the one where they wrap gauze over the camera and then show a bunch of blurry images?
Yes.
That montage?
It rapid fire cuts.
Yes.
We see flashes of Tony being operated on by a guy in glasses, but it's edited like a goddamn music video for a Slipknot song.
I was thinking 9 Inch Nails, but go ahead.
Tony later wakes to find he's got a magnet in his chest attached to a car battery. The guy he's imprisoned with, and his dirty cave doctor, is Jensen. This guy was digging around for the shrapnel in Tony's chest, and he didn't wash his hands. Where could he?
Jensen. I forget his first name. I want to say it's Oh, what is it?
Obadiah.
No, I want to say it's Yo Jensen or something. Jensen's his last name, and Jensen appeared in the comic book. It's the same guy. He was a brilliant doctor, Professor Jensen. He was a physicist and a doctor, and everything he did in this movie, he did in the comic books. I would like 100%. Again, I said this origin is beat for beat right out of the comic books. In fact, after this movie, they retconned it to happen in Afghanistan instead of Vietnam, just, keep it relevant.
The magnet is stopping the remaining shrapnel from entering Tony's arteries, or heart, or whatever. The dude then says it's walking dead wounds, because apparently he sees this all the time and has a name for it.
Apparently, a lot of people get shrapnel in the chest.
And need super magnets.
Or this is some kind of weird elvish shrapnel that just worms its way into the vital organs no matter where it hits you.
Yeah, it's weird, man.
Smart shrapnel.
Jihadists come in and demand Tony build them Jericho missiles, to which Tony refuses. So they give him the Die Another Day opening treatment. They waterboard him with ice bath.
Yes.
Next, they tour Tony through their camp to show him that they are fully stocked on Stark arms and demand he use whatever he needs to build the Jericho. Tony decides to feign compliance to surreptitiously enact his own plan. He and Jensen start building something else.
Dun dun dun.
Tony builds an arc reactor about half the size of a grapefruit. It's powerful as fuck, but not built to last. He also gets to work building a metal mech suit for it to power. But this hasn't gone unnoticed, and the goons come in with Raza, their leader, who's monologuing, but did you know Tom Morello provided guitar tracks for the score and is also a guard in these scenes?
Yes, Tom Morello is one of the first guards killed. Which is pretty awesome. Did you know Raza is also in the comic books, but he's kind of a space pirate?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cooler than this. Look, the gist is, Raza wants the weapon. Stop acting like this is a game, or your assistant swallows a hot coal. But Tony don't stop playing. He starts suiting up. And it takes a while. Jensen helps him, and it is still taking so long to get in and boot up that the goons are about to bust back in the door. Which is wired with a bomb now. Well, not anymore.
Yeah, that bomb didn't last very long at all, did it?
Now the goons are coming en masse, and Stark is still getting buttoned in and booted up. So Jensen has to go cause a distraction that gets him shot.
Wouldn't it seem to you like they would do the boot up sequence while they were getting in?
I mean, they kinda did. He was still doing some things to bolt him into the suit as it was loading, but they did do most of the... Yeah, they should have started it like first and then started getting in.
Yeah.
They did wait a while to start this really long boot process.
Right. Yeah, see, I would have started that boot up process then, every other bolt and all of that nonsense, whatnot. But they did it kind of ass backwards.
Look, we needed dramatic tension, okay?
For tension, yes, I get it.
But Stark does get that shit going, and now he's just wrecking everything. It's a pretty awesome action scene, paced well around the slow but powerful suit. I love when Tony's arm gets stuck in the wall. He's always paying attention to anything that can be improved.
Yes, he does. He pays attention to everything that can be improved. Every version of his armor is a beta. It's like he's going to improve it no matter what. And that's his genius.
That's why he has so many marks. Raza, no, not the Ninja Turtle thing. Yeah, that guy, blows himself up and Jensen dies. We stop the fight to have that moment. Then Tony roasts everyone. Literally.
Yeah, I kind of like the pull start missile launcher too. That was kind of cool.
He burns all his weapons the terrorists have accumulated and fights everyone until he starts to get overwhelmed. Exposed mobility parts are shot, and Tony has to basically emergency jet into the air and come crashing down to the... Oh my god. Oh my god. Well, rip Tony. Roll credits, I guess.
Isn't it kind of funny? It just made me think about this. So you're telling me the Mark I armor was built sturdy enough that Tony walked away from that?
How?
But Rhodey's War Machine armor paralyzed him from a very similar fall. I'm just saying.
Holy shit! How did he fucking live that? And with no broken bones, he's just running on the dunes in the next scene. What?
That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying. Very similar falls, generations apart in tech, but the black guy has a permanent back injury, and the white guy just walks away.
You guys understand how many G-forces his organs would have suffered?
White Jesus just walks away from that shit, just saying.
White Jesus, you just answered your own question. Oh, look, Colonel Lucius Lyon hustling and flowing his ass to Tony in the middle of the fucking desert, conveniently.
You don't think it was a tracking device they had on him? They couldn't find him in the cave?
He isn't even acting shocked this man's alive and that they found him. He just asks, how was the fun V? Passive-aggressive little bitch. This is why he picks on you.
That's why he picks on you. How was the fun V? I know, that was the first line. Like, really? Not glad you're alive? Not happy to see you? How was the fun V, you son of a bitch? You should have rode with me.
You bitch. Then they hug, the music swells, the B-52 lands, and Tony walks down to Pepper, who is crying to see her boss again. Her job is that bad. Nah, she loves him, even though when you think about it, that makes very little sense.
It makes very little sense. Like, has she always been in love with him?
Does she have Stockholm Syndrome?
Something. It's hard to tell.
She says doctors, he says cheeseburgers. Then they do what everyone does after escaping terrorists.
Have cheeseburgers?
Have a press conference.
Oh, have a press conference?
Stain is there, happy as punch. It's sycophantic and phony. Bruce Wayne would hate it and notice the red flag.
So, Obadiah Stane is a complicated figure in the comic books.
Okay.
He he watched his father shoot himself in a game of Russian roulette.
What the fuck?
That was one of his formulating growth experiences.
That was a formative, that's a core fucking memory right there, bro.
Then he went on to become partners with Howard Stark, start the company, and he didn't have anything to do with Howard's death, but he did kind of always want the company for himself.
Well, yeah.
Jeff Bridges plays such a great villain in this movie. I really enjoyed him. He's kind of terrifying in some scenes.
He's absolutely menacing and terrifying in almost all of the scenes. Almost. Except this scene where he doesn't get a cheeseburger, then he looks just like a petulant, pissed off kid. Speaking of which, Happy Hogan, Fav's character, gives Tony cheeseburgers. And on his way in, Stain asks for one. Tony says, sorry, last one, and he eats it. Oh, look, it's that guy. He wants to talk to Pepper, but she don't give a fuck. This will be a running joke, if you can call it that.
Phil Coulson, are we talking about that guy?
Yeah, that guy.
This is actually the first introduction of Phil Coulson.
I mean, not for us.
Not for us, but it is. This is Phil Coulson's first appearance in the MCU. This is Phil Coulson's first appearance. Period. He didn't exist before this movie.
Yeah, they made him into the comics because of this, because Greg immortalized the character. He was supposed to be no one but the charm of him, so.
Yeah.
Another running gag is that he keeps saying the full name of S.H.I.E.L.D. and everyone says they need to shorten it, even though Fury called it S.H.I.E.L.D. the whole Captain Marvel movie. Yet this film is insinuating they haven't thought of that yet.
Yes, I know. The continuity, right?
It's funny, they could have just checked. Could have just watched their own movies when writing one.
You would think, right? I mean, it literally, some of those movies that came out later, it's like, did you even watch the fucking movies that you just wrote? Like,
shouldn't be that hard. You could even just pay a guy to constantly watch your movies and then read your scripts and just check for crap like that.
Absolutely.
Back with Tony, he pulls out another cheeseburger from his jacket, asking everyone to just sit down, powwow style. Stain looks at Tony and his burger like, you motherfucker, this is why I tried to have you killed. Spoiler. But honestly, not really. It's pretty obvious by now, and he really does look at Tony like he's tired of this exact type of disrespect.
So, a little bit of trivia for you if you didn't know. Every scene that Robert Downey Jr. is eating in is fucking improvised because the dude kept snacks in his pockets all the time. If he's offering you a blueberry, it's because he had blueberries in his pocket that day of filming. And this is a true story. This dude was always snacking. There were no scenes written for food in this movie.
There were barely any scenes written in the traditional sense.
True enough. A lot of the scenes were improvised, which makes the Jeff Bridges and Robert Downey Jr. scene so magical, dude.
It blows me away, their scenes, especially knowing that a lot of it was improvised.
Right?
Tony announces, shockingly, that he's no longer making weapons at Stark Industries, and everyone flips out, including Rhodey and Stain. But Stain immediately jumps into PR damage control. Stain and Tony then fight about this privately by the old giant arc reactor from the 60s, leading to Tony revealing his super mini arc reactor to Stain. Back at Casa de Stark in Malibu, Tony calls Pepper in to help him with something. And this is honestly one of the coolest scenes in the movie, and most people won't even notice it. He needs to switch out the cave reactor with the one he just made with better tools and supplies. Laying down, shirt off, he pulls the OG reactor out of a long metal tube in his chest, and then she sticks her hand down into it. I mean, she sticks her hand a good 5 or 6 inches into his chest, and then she pulls out a long bundle of copper wire and then sticks in the new beefier arc reactor. Now, can you tell me how they did this?
I can, but do you want them to figure it out, or you want me to just tell you?
If you can tell me. I know how they did it.
Well, they had a prosthetic chest and Robert Downey Jr. lying underneath the prosthetic chest.
He was standing on his knees behind it. It was a fake chest.
Yeah, and they covered the seams with a very bright light, so you couldn't really see the seams.
It's so seamless. It's so good.
Yes.
It's so good.
The special of this movie got a nom for Oscar nomination for Best Sound Design and Best Special Effects for the year it came out.
It's just weird in an MCU movie with so many practical effects.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot. You would be surprised how many practical effects they used in this movie. Like, a lot of the time, Robert Downey Jr. was wearing 50 pounds of Iron Man suit and not a lot of CG on it. And that's why this movie still holds up and looks good today.
Which is funny because eventually he'll get paid billions of dollars to stand there in a tracksuit with dots on it.
Right? Because he's not wearing that suit anymore.
Because I'm not wearing that fucking suit anymore. Pepper asks what to do with the OG reactor, and he says, destroy it. He's been called many things, but nostalgic isn't one of them. Hey, did you notice Tony names and talks to his robots?
Yes, he's not nostalgic, but he does name his robots and his cars. And he made his dad. I mean, we can talk about Jarvis a little bit. Jarvis was in the MCU. Jarvis was his father's butler, but in the comic books, Jarvis is the longtime butler to Tony Stark and the Avengers. So much so that he had a hero identity, the Crimson Cowl, for a little while. Jarvis is kind of a badass ex-RAF, ex-World War II RAF pilot and boxer. He's
the MCU Alfred.
But the MCU Jarvis is a totally different creature altogether. It's an AI designed by Tony Stark, modeled after his father's butler, but it stands for just a rather very intelligent system. It's an acronym.
Speaking of his AI butler, we're almost halfway through this movie, and he's had more conversations with a robot arm than his AI butler, who I've heard once so far, and that was basically a glorified alarm clock and weather report.
Yes. Yeah, Jarvis doesn't pop up until much later.
Anyway, cut to Rhodey giving a tour to rookie pilots. Bro, what is his job in this film?
In this film, he is the director of special weapons for the United States Army, I think.
He gives awards, celebrity escorts, tours, teaching. At one point, he seems to have command of a certain region at an Air Force command center. Like, what is his job? Everything?
Yeah. Yes, his job is everything. His job is everything that they need him to do for the United States military so Tony Stark can look like he's got boundaries or something. There's some sort of police
I love how you say in the comics it's basically the same shit, too.
It is basically the same shit in the comic book. He doesn't really have a job other than Tony Stark's best friend, who is also Iron Man sometimes.
This scene is of no consequence anyways. Just cut to him finally talking to Jarvis again and trying to design a suit. Using the waving hands technique of the sci-fi design labs.
So this movie is iconic as far as MCU movies go, because it establishes the sound design. A lot of the sounds that you hear in this movie, Iron Man, happen throughout films in the MCU. The hammer strike, the repulsor noise, the jet wash, all of that shit. And a lot of the tech that you see used in this movie, it also carries through the MCU for God knows. I mean, they're still using a lot of that shit now. It's iconic for that very reason. This is the movie that started it all and set up the universe. The foundation of the world building.
It set the style, the theme, the tone of the entire MCU.
Yep.
Oh shit, Raza is alive? Those guys are out there digging up the cave suit, huh? Okay, whatever. Not like they're gonna know how to put it back together or make an arc reactor.
I don't know. Tony Stark built one in a cave with a box of scraps, so it could be possible.
They're not Tony Stark. Back to Tony, who's arguing with the robot arm whilst building components to the suit thrusters. It's crazy to think that this film didn't have so much as a written dialogue script as much of an outline. And a lot of this is improvised by RDJ, as we said before, and Jeff Bridges. Scenes like this showcase it very well as any scene with Stain and Tony.
On another rewatch, and a critical one at that, their interaction is, like I said, it's magical. It is just so natural and easy banter. Like, hey, cheeseburgers, you bring one for me? Da-da-da-da-da. It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah. I even love Tony's ability to naturally just improv banter with robots that aren't there. Or, Robert Downey Jr.'s, rather.
Yes.
But next is the first test, and this is the most hilarious part of the film. He tells the robot that he calls Dummy to look alive with the fire safety, and starts off with 10% thrust. This man said 3, 2, 1 and flew his ass flipping backwards into a concrete wall. Like, this man is dead.
It makes me wonder how he survived the first test. It's like, why isn't he in the hospital with concussion? He hit that wall at about 40, 50 miles an hour. Easy.
He has internal bleeding in his fractured ass skull. This man is dead.
Right.
He just Dale Earnhardted himself.
Oh, I think they should have probably did that at half speed.
And the dummy bot douses him with the fire extinguisher. I love that shit.
Even though he wasn't on fire, he's still ready. He's ready. Just in case.
Ready. You know what I hate, though? Is we go back to waving our hand around at floating computer-generated imagery as some magical way to design things. How is that designing anything? Where are these assets coming from, and what is this program? This shit makes less than 0 sense to me.
All right, it is some sort of super AutoCAD that only Tony Stark knows how to use.
It's like in every crappy sci-fi future movie. It's because it has to be visually engaging for the audience.
Right.
But it just always breaks my brain.
Yeah, I know. Same. Well, I kind of hand wave it away as tech we don't have. Whatever.
But they soothe it with more testing hijinks. Meanwhile, Stain is upstairs playing the piano and pissed at Tony for his antics, telling Tony the board wants to vote him out. Really, what's going on is Stain is trying to get his hands on the mini super arc reactor tech for what we'll soon see. He also wants to know what Stark is working on in his basement, because he probably already has a good fucking guess, as again, we'll soon see.
Right? He can smell something is up. But he's always wanted this company, and now he's going to try every single underhanded tactic to get it, as we shall soon see.
Well, he also knows a lot more than he's letting on, and with everything he knows, he's probably already figured out what Tony's doing.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
So, back to the testing shenanigans as Tony learns to fly, and continues destroying his own lab.
Destroying his lab and all those beautiful cars in it.
But it's a successful test, capped with the badass line,
"Yeah, I can fly."
And you know what? That's enough testing. One success of hovering for a few seconds, and that was barely controlled, but fuck it. It's time for the real suit up. Jarvis is loaded into the suit, and Tony is bolted in by the robot arms and the balletic motions that will become so familiar. And I love how they show Tony in the suit. The blacked out background with the heads-up display, it's brilliant, it's simple, it's effective.
Yeah, no, it's definitely. It's like you don't have to show the interior of the suit. You just see his face with the heads-up display so you can see what he's seeing. So it's immersive, right?
It's a good way to show your actor in a suit that's completely encasing him.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I like how Jarvis is like... I feel like Tony invented Jarvis as kind of a surrogate father, because I figured that's got to be how the butler was to him, right? His dad was always off working on some special project or in some secret lab, right? So all he had was a butler. And Jarvis is telling him in every sense of his being that he has, you don't want to take this suit outside right now. We got to do some more tests. But Tony's all ego, right?
Yeah, well, sometimes you gotta run before you can walk.
I'm pretty sure that's exactly what he said.
That is exactly what he said.
I know.
You see, the suit isn't just flying pulse-blasting armor. It's got Jarvis running it as a supercomputer with constant environmental analysis. It's got climate control and all other bells and whistles. Tony takes off the training wheels and blasts into the night sky, truly learning to fly and spying on some kids on a Ferris wheel for some reason.
Right. I love how every time Tony interacts with a child, it's Peter Parker.
That was Peter Parker. And little girl Peter Parker, too.
Right.
Tony then tries to see how high he can go, and upon finding that limit, his suit freezes and shuts down. Tony plummets to Earth, almost dying or causing traffic collisions below. But hey, he's having fun.
So, you know how Marvel famously doesn't finish the script before they finish a movie? Or before they start filming a movie?
Famously.
This is kind of the movie that started it.
Well, yeah, because it made them think they could get away with that.
Yeah, and you know what it was? The icing problem. That was the final add-in to the movie. And that's what made them think that they could get away with that style of writing on every movie.
Just throw in 2 scenes, bam.
Right.
Finished up, baby.
Finished up, baby.
Tony heads home and hovers above his roof, saying, "Kill power," then drops implausibly through multiple floors of his house and onto a car in his basement. But if this suit is that heavy, it would break through floors everywhere he stood.
Everywhere he stood. It would leave imprints in the concrete. And not just a car, a 63 Shelby Cobra.
Look at his walls. They look like his entire house is fabricated out of 3-foot concrete walls.
Yes. Yeah, no, his whole house looks like a fucking bunker.
Oh yeah, Dummy hits him with a fire extinguisher again. That robot has the best comedic timing of the whole movie.
It does. It does.
Tony wanders back into the office part of his lab and finds a package from Pepper. She had the OG reactor encased in glass with a plaque that says, "Proof that Tony Stark has a heart." So then we cut back to the 10 rings. Damn, I forgot about these guys. Again. Look at them thinking they could put this suit back together. It's cute. Well, keep trying while Raza Ora farms.
Because that's all they're doing.
Back with Tony. He has Jarvis render and fabricate a new suit with a gold alloy to help with weight and other modifications to help with higher altitudes. He then says the gold suit is too ostentatious. And that's rich. Pun intended, coming from this guy.
What's really funny is he has an all-gold suit. He's got so many Iron Man suits. You know how Batman has everything he needs in his utility belt?
Yeah, this guy just gets a new suit.
Yeah, he has that many suits.
Tony looks at his hot rod and says, "Throw in some hot rod red," and boom, that's MCU canon for how this suit got its colors.
Well, if you also notice that during this whole scene, red comes up quite a bit. It's like one of the first lines on the news feed that he's listening to says something about red ball, and then it's a fireman's ball. Fireman's normally a lot of red, and then he looks over at the hot rod, so red was on his mind.
While that suit is brewing, Tony crashes a party. After another Audi commercial, of course.
More Audi. I need more Audi in my life. There's so many Audis in this movie.
Stain is still doing damage control on the red carpet, and Tony's arrival interrupts him. Another slight. A blonde walks up, asking giddily if Tony remembers her, and he just brushes, "Sure don't." Then he pats Hugh Hefner on the back while walking in, but when Hef turns, it's Stan Lee, baby, surrounded by women. Nice.
And they cut his line out, because he says, "Oh, that happens often," or "that happens a lot," or something like that.
It's better without that, honestly.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Brevity is the soul of wit.
Oh yeah, most certainly. Most certainly. They didn't really need the line.
Tony goes straight to the bar, orders a scotch, and oh, look, it's that guy. They do the S.H.I.E.L.D. name as a mouthful joke again, and Coulson reminds Tony that they need to talk to him, and Tony blows him off again.
Oh, Agent Coulson, Nick Fury's right-hand eye.
Tony then finds Pepper and forces her to dance with him. Charming. Honestly, the banter here is brilliant, it is charming, and it feels natural. Well, his does. And apparently, this super genius doesn't even know his own social security number.
Apparently not. Like, he seems like he should be able to memorize that out of all the numbers.
I mean, come on.
It's like, let's be honest. Really?
Not gonna lie, her banter was cringe as fuck, like Ezra Miller Justice League cringe banter.
Her banter was kind of cringe, but this was the first moment where I thought to myself, well, Gwyneth Paltrow is actually kind of attractive.
That's funny. Remember that reporter Tony slept with from the beginning? Yeah, he doesn't either. But she's here with photos of a Middle Eastern town called Golmira that's under occupation by 10 rings with Stark weapons. A fresh batch at that.
Well, here's the thing. When Christine walks up, he makes a Stephen King joke and calls her Carrie. And, you know, Carrie and Christine are both Stephen King properties. And Gilmera is also Jensen's hometown, if you remember them talking about the conversation. Gilmera is where Jensen was from, and his family. That's why that kind of really hit Tony a little bit hard, because, you know, Jensen, the man he spent 8 months in a cave with, 3 months, 4 months, a year.
Tony storms to Stain, angry to know that they're not only still selling weapons, but to the bad guys the whole time? And Stain laughs. Who do you think filed the injunction to lock you out? And the line has now been drawn very clearly and marked in the sand, and Tony looks gutted. He called this man Obi. He trusted him and thought he was a friend. But now he sees this man just wants his father's company from him, and he's willing to weaponize the board of directors to do it.
He thought he was a father figure. Like, Obi was the guy he relied upon growing up to run the company, to be there for him. And this had to hurt. And Jeff Bridges plays it so well.
It looked like it hurt.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Robert Downey Jr. does a great job just standing there staring off into the distance on the stairwell, while Jeff Bridges walks off and throws a scarf around his neck like a G.
The posturing of both of these guys is on point, and the emoting that Tony expresses here in this earth-shattering moment, it feels like this guy whose brain runs 1,000,000 miles an hour is running 1,000,000 different ways in this moment. It's the first time, like, you've seen this guy just stop and shut the fuck up. He's not moving, he's not talking, he's not working on anything, he's not being a smartass. It's not that Tony isn't quiet, but he's never not doing something. If he's not talking, he's working. If he's walking, he's moving. You know what I mean? He's drinking.
Right.
It's like very rarely do you see Tony just stand there and think. And when you do, it's usually him thinking about some of the most important decisions of his life.
Right. And how he just fucked up.
Or how he's going to deal with it.
Yes.
So Tony suits up in the red and gold and flies to the Middle East. First, they make sure we see the 10 rings being evil cunts, though, killing people, destroying the town, kidnapping women and children while executing the men. So then, when Tony lands, he just gets to start fucking everything up.
I watched this scene and I thought to myself, he's not opposed to mass murder.
No, he is not. As long as he thinks you're a bad guy.
As long as he thinks you're a bad guy. He blows a lot of people up in this scene, and I just thought to myself, it's like, so this is how we're going to start off with our peace journey.
Bro, He blasts everyone.
Everybody. Yes.
He precision kills hostage takers simultaneously. He goes on a one-man wrecking crew, like super action set piece of the film, man.
Yeah, right? Mass murder.
Mass
Murder.
There's a really good bit when a tank fires like that giant round at him that doesn't kill him somehow and just knocks him to the ground from flight, which also doesn't kill him somehow. But anyways, he stands up and they fire again and he just dodges it and he just fires back like the teeniest little rocket with a cartoonishly cutesy sound effect and just starts walking away dramatically before it just explodes the fucking shit behind him in a giant explosion. Like, what the fuck was in that rocket?
So they famously do a take like that in the second one with Justin Hammer. I can't wait to talk about that.
Edwards Air Force Base in California are apparently monitoring this in Afghanistan and see the suit as some UFO or bogey. They call Rhodes down, and okay, that's fair, why not? They say he's in weapons development. Huh. Okay.
Director of weapons development.
That's like the only thing we don't see him do in this movie, but whatever. Tony flies around, he gets intercepted by the Air Force, and Rhodey calls Tony. Rhodey tells Tony if he has any tech out there, it's about to get blown up, and Tony starts trying to shake the fighter jets. To varying levels of success. Basically, he gets shot up until he clings to the belly of one of the birds and begs Rhodes to call them off, admitting he's in the suit.
So I just want to point out that Rhodey's ringtone is the theme song for the 1960s Iron Man cartoon.
For real?
For real. Actually, all the swing music that you hear, like, it's at the banquet, it's on Rhodey's phone, and there's another scene, like, right in the middle. Oh, Tony's walkthrough montage when they're playing in the casino. That's all from the 1960 Iron Man cartoon theme song.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
No, for real. I like that attention to detail and homage.
Oh, yeah.
The fighter jet rolls and shakes Tony off, who flies into the wing of the other jet, causing the plane to explode and the pilot to eject. But the chute has to be pulled separately of the ejection lever and manually for some reason. So Tony flies up and pulls it to save the guy before flying off.
Oh.
I have never heard of an ejection process that you had to pull twice.
Right, you pull one seat to eject yourself and then another seat to pull the chute.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's stupid.
I would have believed a suit failure or knocking yourself out on the canopy or a whole bunch of
Knocking
other
yourself
things.
out on the canopy is so likely, too.
Right, there's a whole bunch of other failures that an ejection seat can have other than two handles.
Two handles. That would never be approved.
That would never be approved.
On $1 billion jet fighter. Get out of here.
Never be approved.
Tony says, say you lost a plane in a training exercise. And Rhodey says, no one will believe that. Before we cut to him giving a press release that it was a training exercise and the military had nothing to do with Golmira, which Stain sees and immediately has a Peter tingle.
Immediately has a Peter tingle. I like the expansion of Pepper Potts' character in this as well.
Yeah? Tell me about Pepper.
Well, Pepper in the comic books is just pretty much a secretary that ran Tony's company for a little while before running off with... She was in kind of a romantic triangle with him and Happy Hogan. And then they eventually ran off and got married until Stain used Happy and her as hostages against Iron Man as Ironmonger. So then they just ran off and kind of retired.
They're like, look, we're done hanging around you, bro.
He's right. Yes, you're dangerous to us. We don't want to hang out. Plus, he had a drinking problem. He lost a lot of friends during that drinking problem episode.
Yeah.
That was one of the first times in comic books that I remember reading comic books that handled some real adult issues. Like, that was a big deal back in the day.
Oh, Pym slapping his wife wasn't.
Not until later.
Fair enough. Speaking of Pepper, she walks in on Tony fighting to get desuited, and upon his reveal, quips, let's face it, this isn't the worst thing you've caught me doing. Audience laugh, effortless charm. But why is the suit-up process with these arms so balletic, perfectly graceful, and now they can't even get him out?
Right. How come suit up is so easy and then taking it off he's got to wiggle around?
And they're like, I don't know how to get to you.
It's exceptionally tight, sir. It's like, well, it didn't hurt when you put it on.
I'm nitpicking for comedy's sake. This movie is amazing.
This movie is good, and it is just little bitty nitpicks like that throughout the movie.
So S.H.I.E.L.D. flies into an active war zone unnoticed, unmolested by either side, and meets with Raza in Afghanistan, and I'm getting confused with the continuity or timing about now, because he was just at his house in LA at night watching a report. Now, he's in Afghanistan at night, like, at least 12 hours later, but in an instant hard cut, and literally seconds in real time after seeing him in a robe on his couch.
Maybe he was in bed on his plane.
Raza shows S.H.I.E.L.D. the cave suit, and S.H.I.E.L.D. paralyzes him with a sonic device, saying it'll only last 15 minutes. But then has his handful of guards kill an entire army they apparently took hostage quietly while the men talked in the tent.
Well, yeah, if they have this neurotransmitter thing that paralyzes everybody with a sound and nobody can hear it.
He didn't use that on them. They were outside on their knees with their hands above their heads, like they were just like, we surrender. And meanwhile, Raza's on the ground with like black veins going, fuck. S.H.I.E.L.D. then calls to have the top techs secretly start work at Stark Tech. And then cut back to Tony seemingly 15 minutes later, not 12 hours later, with Peppa still there and in the same clothes.
Yeah, that was a little weird. She was wearing the same clothes. I did notice that.
And because like they don't fade for time, they do all these hard cuts. It's really hard. It's really easy to get lost in the timing here.
That's why every time I'd say how long was he in the cave, it's a different number, because how long was he in that fucking cave?
3 months. That's what I'm going with.
That's what you're going with.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I think it was only about 7.
He wasn't emaciated enough for that. Tony gives Pepper a thumb drive and tells her to go to his office and download the files on their weapons exports, especially anything hidden. He knows S.H.I.E.L.D. is selling to terrorists. He needs to know where the weapons went so he can destroy them. And Pepper is hesitant, but he bears his conscience and his soul, and she bears her heart before accepting the task.
I love you. Here's my penis.
Yeah, no, it's more like, I love you, I'll do this for you, I better get that penis. She goes to Stark's office at the high-rise, and as soon as she plugs into his laptop, security breach flashes across the screen. She finds the files and starts the transfer, finding proof that S.H.I.E.L.D. tried to kill Tony and is working already on his old suit. Then S.H.I.E.L.D. comes in to see what's going on, but acting natural. Pepper isn't fooled and is hella intimidated. And Jeff is amazingly menacing here, saying completely normal things in the most powerfully suggestive way since Bane put a hand on a dude's shoulder.
Do you feel like you're in charge? Oh man, Jeff Bridges does such a great job as Obadiah Stane in this show. He is magnificent. Absolutely magnificent. You wouldn't even think this was the same guy as the Big Lebowski.
He's intimidating, he's menacing, he's
scary.
Just brilliant.
Oh, he's absolutely brilliant. It looks like he could just grab you and beat you like the Kingpin at any minute.
Strangle the life out of you. It looks like he will, too.
Oh, yeah.
Pepper blacks out the screen before S.H.I.E.L.D. gets close and excuses herself to leave, surreptitiously taking the thumb drive on her way out. But S.H.I.E.L.D. knows. He knew the whole time. He checks the computer and sees she downloaded something, and he panics, watching her leave with Coulson. Yeah, that guy. He's been waiting in the lobby since we saw him last for a chance to debrief Tony.
Coulson's always around. He's always around. You just don't see him unless he wants you to see him. He's always there.
Then the Boffins tell S.H.I.E.L.D. that they can't do what he asks. They can't make the arc reactor smaller. It's impossible.
Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps.
S.H.I.E.L.D. screams, leading the tech to respond exactly how I would. Well, I'm sorry, I'm not Tony fucking Stark, asshole.
Do you know who that is?
Who is that?
That is Ralphie from A Christmas Story.
Oh shit, that is. Oh, I forgot about that. That is.
It is.
It is. No, I remember now. I did know that before.
Who will pop up later in the epilogue of this saga.
Back with Tony, as Pepper calls his landline. Not the point. Stain is hiding, waiting to hit Tony with the sonic paralyzer. Bridges goes off here, and again, the fact that they made up a bulk of their lines on the spot just shows his brilliance, as well as RDJ's.
Oh, absolutely brilliant. He is so good. The only part, the only problem I have with this is it is the typical bad guy exposition that you find at the end of every supervillain movie. But Jeff Bridges does it so well, it didn't bother me that much.
His villain only gets cartoonier and cartoonier from this point out, though, actually.
Yeah, it does. He does. I was just going to say it only ramps up.
Stain monologues and steals Tony's reactor from his chest, leaving him to die without it. Pepper and S.H.I.E.L.D. call Rhodey while this is going on, and, now alone, Tony struggles back to his lab, finding the cave reactor in Pepper's plaque. Then we see Stain putting the stolen reactor into his giant-ass suit prototype, the Ironmonger suit. Then quick cut again to Rhodey finding Tony on the floor. Then cut to Pepper and S.H.I.E.L.D. guys going to arrest Stain. Look, the movie's moving fast now. It took half the movie to get him in the suit. Keep up.
It did. It was over half of the movie just to get him in the suit.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're in the major critical bad guy fight.
And we're running through everything. Cut.
The day after he got into the suit.
You know? Literally?
Literally, the day after.
Pepper's been locked out, so they blow their way in, alerting Stain, who suits up. Cut back to Tony, suiting up in front of Rhodey. Stark takes off, and Rhodey looks at the inferior alloy prototype and says, "Next time, baby." For a little War Machine tease that will technically never happen for that guy.
I was going to say that, except there won't ever be a next time for you, buddy.
Not for you.
Not for you. You got to learn how to do math and then negotiate a good contract.
You got to learn how to do math, bitch. One of you does not equal an RDJ. 1 and 1 does not equal 2.
Oh, man.
Back with Pepper, and Stain powers up, attacking the S.H.I.E.L.D. suits. Names on the wall over here now, God bless him. Pepper runs for it, and we cut to Tony tearing ass over to her. Stain's about to mow Pepper away when Stark flies into him.
Stain! Sorry.
Taking this fight to the streets, literally.
Oh, well, yeah, he punches him right through the building, right?
Yeah, and they land in the road. The streets.
Literally.
I hate when superhero movies have a random family appear in a car or something just to be saved. Like, we don't need the cuts to the people in the car. Just have them catching the car.
Did you notice it was an Audi?
Did I notice there was an Audi? I should have. I should have fucking known it was an Audi.
It was. It was an Audi.
Regardless, this fight is awesome. And incredibly one-sided. Tony's weaker cave reactor cannot provide the speed or punch that he needs to defeat Stain. He'll have to use his brains.
I love how Obadiah Stane is mopping the floor with his second-gen Ironmonger, straight out of the comic books Ironmonger suit, by the way.
I love it, too, that they didn't just have their superhero lead just come in and be awesome.
Right?
But it makes sense because he took his better, more powerful reactor, leaving Tony with the one that could barely power the other suit for 15 minutes.
Right.
I've always taken it as Tony, of course, had the better suit, but he just didn't have the power once Obadiah stole that arc reactor.
Right. He just didn't have the juice.
Tony leads Stain high into max altitude, and then we cut to Rhodey, stopping the Air Force from intercepting by forcefully cutting calls and saying it's just a training exercise with big fuck-off energy.
Real big fuck-off energy, right?
Just a training exercise, guys. Looking around like, who wants to test that?
Who wants to test that? I am director of weapons research facility liaison thing. I'm pretty sure I rank everybody here. I'm not even quite sure what my job is.
What am I doing? Tony's here, I'm here. That's all that matters. Shut up. Don't make me bust out the neuralizer. Stain catches Tony as they fly higher and higher, Stain gloats his suit is more advanced in every way, and Tony cheekily asks how he solved the icing problem. As Stain's suit ices up, shuts down, and plummets. Tony then barely lands, running out of power, on a roof and doesn't fall 4 stories through, and his house honestly looked like it was completely made of concrete. This is just a random building.
Go figure. It's Ant-Man physics, don't question it.
It's convenience physics, don't question it. But then, surprise, motherfucker, Stain jumps Tony and starts bear hugging him, but Tony shoots flares to escape. He tells Pepper to overload their giant old retro 60s reactor and blow the roof. Both men are left exposed in the fight, and Tony is dangling while Stain shoots at him. Pepper hits a button, and blue lightning goes everywhere. Shit gets bright, so obviously explosion.
It is obvious explosion.
Yeah, in a movie you ever see a bunch of blue lightning and the screen goes white, it's like explosion time, right?
It's like an explosion. Big Trouble in Little China style. Blue lightning.
Yeah, blue lightning causes explosions, guys. It's like worse than C4. The blast shoves Tony aside and uses Stain as a lightning rod to shoot a skybeam into space. Oh yeah, then he fucking falls into the reactor and blows the fuck up.
And this is a couple of firsts. This is the first skybeam for Marvel of many.
Add it to the counter.
And this is also the first waste of a very, very good villain, which is something Marvel also began to do as well.
Yes, a lot.
A lot. Yeah, a lot. And I said it with this movie too. I was like, why would you kill him? Bring him back. I need more of that guy because he scared me.
No, we'll bring back his kid played by young Han Solo instead.
Yes, that's what they did. They did that.
We slowly zoom in on Tony's failing arc reactor and fade to black, but immediately see Tony getting ready for a press release. Tension release.
Tension relief. That's it. And also another opportunity for a bit of improvisation.
Pepper is touching up his makeup, and Coulson is giving him an alibi speech. Coulson also says they're going to say Stain died in a plane crash, which I love that they actually do years later.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
We get a little more playful, coy banter with Tony and Pepper, and then Tony comes out to read his speech. He gets like half a sentence in before the Christine girl comes back into the film to interrupt him, and he just says, "Truth is, I am Iron Man." The crowd goes nuts, credits start, play the Aussie, rip.
Rip. That line is also improvised, but it became the iconic standalone moment for the film. I think that's when Kevin Feige decided to just go ahead and base his whole franchise around Robert Downey Jr.
I have learned the error of my ways. I have seen the light, and it is RDJ.
Yeah, I seriously, I think that was probably the moment. He was like, oh, this is where we're going to go. Because in the comic books, over the whole Infinity Saga, Iron Man wasn't really that important to the grand scheme of that story.
But in this, he's RD Jesus.
Right. In the MCU, he's RD Jesus. Right.
This movie has the charm of a studio wanting to make their mark and having the money to put behind it. The vision of the next 10 years of movies and shows wasn't a thought yet. This was just get great talent in front of and behind the camera and make an amazing first movie. And they did that. In fact, a lot was against this movie, and it's really good despite that. It's fun, funny, it's charming and witty. It's badass and action-packed. It's smarter than it needed to be, and had not only a satisfying ending, but a hell of a stinger with the Iron Man drop before credits. When, at the time, everyone was very used to superheroes hiding their identity. It worked as intended, and everyone was talking about it.
Oh, no, it was definitely. It was Kevin Feige said it famously, it was the moment he decided that that's the way we're going forward in the MCU. We're not going to even worry about secret identities. Thor doesn't switch into Donald Blake. Everybody knows who Peter Parker is. You know, no secret identities was a way to go, because I guess that does take a bit pressure off the writers of how are we going to keep this a secret from everybody and still have them be a hero, because in the comic books, it's a big deal. A lot of the time. This movie for just to throw out a few numbers there, this movie had a $98.6 million opening weekend and grossed over $585 million overall for
That's
pop
not bad.
when it comes out. No, not bad. It was in the top 10 of movies that year. So, yeah, it did pretty well for, a fledgling studio's first real foray into the big time,
Yeah. No, they came out swinging.
They did. 94% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh.
So, yeah. Iron Man holds up, homie.
Iron Man holds up. Let's talk about the good. Robert Downey Jr., hands down, this performance cemented him as Stark. He had the look, the walk, the talk, the grit, the charm. He was perfect. I mean, who would have thought getting an ex-alcoholic playboy to play an alcoholic playboy would work out?
And this is directly coming off of Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, because Favreau saw that movie and saw that RDJ had the chops, which he always had. I mean, even as a young actor, he was good in everything he was in. He just hit a spot where, drugs and alcohol were Charlie Sheen in him.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang was really good, but I hear that there was still some caution.
It was more than caution. The studios didn't want him. Jon Favreau fought long and hard and had to convince Kevin Feige to bring him on.
And then Feige was like, yes, I love this guy. I will eat my hat now.
Right. His performance cemented his spot in the MCU. So much so that he's coming back as fucking Doctor Doom. What the fuck?
Jeff Bridges is never not on another level. His character is operating on so many stages at all times, and it's again just perfect casting.
Jeff Bridges is chef's kiss. Magnificent in this movie. I couldn't ask for a better villain. I couldn't. And like I said, the fact that they killed him off, I was so disappointed back then. I'm still disappointed now.
Yeah, well, I mean, for the most part, it's an origin story done right. It's almost always more about how they get their powers in suit. And that's here, but the motivation of superheroes is often shown in one murderous flashback or one line on a deathbed. And here, it's the whole movie. This entire movie is Tony becoming who he'll be in the MCU.
Oh, this movie is the what do we call it? The vanguard of a 10-year character growth, which they, in retrospect, they handle so well. The subtle little nuances that carry over from film to film to film are just magnificent. They really are.
But he also seems to naturally grow from the things that happened to him, too.
Oh, yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. Everything seems to grow from naturally. It's all organic, right? His growth seems
definitely
so organic from film to film, right? Nothing seems forced. It just, this shit happens. This is how he grows in the next film. It's really remarkable, actually.
I agree.
People will be talking about this in film classes for a long time, I think, because it really is remarkable.
Almost everything really is good about this movie. It's simple and effective. It's no more or less than it ever really needed to be.
At any moment. Really, at any moment. It wasn't too serious. It wasn't too funny.
It wasn't too much for an action film, and it wasn't not enough.
Right. Yeah. It was pretty good. The pacing wasn't horrible. There wasn't even really, kind of slow moments, but not really.
So many of these MCU movies get so bogged down, and this movie just didn't even have to even think about that.
Right.
Let's talk about the bad. Running an outline instead of a script might have worked with the actors ad-libbing this time, but it definitely didn't help get through the plot without a lot of hand waves.
Yeah, there was a lot of hand waving. And some unnecessary exposition I felt in some parts as well.
Contradicting physics with the suit. Basically, whatever the scene called for, happened.
Yes.
What was Rhodey's fucking job?
We will never know.
We'll never know. Sales pitches in war zones. Pepper not being utterly disgusted with everything that Tony is after years of the treatment we see her subjected to in the beginning.
Yeah, what is up with that? Even in the beginning when she was like, oh, no, you're so out of touch, I use your money to buy my own shit and everything. But then by the middle of the movie, she just has secretly pined for him the whole time.
The whole time, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not natural.
It's not natural.
It doesn't feel right or normal or real.
No.
They do get better chemistry, but in this movie, it's not as good as you remember.
Right. Yeah, it's true.
Gwyneth Paltrow is the odd one out for me in the cast in this film.
Right.
She does get better, though, I'll admit. She learns her character.
She does get better.
Spending too much time in setup and rushing to the finish.
It does feel like this movie was on some sort of weird pendulum, right? It's like, that's kind of how the movie was. It's just, it starts out kind of slow, and I think it's probably just, did they really need to do the flashback?
Yep.
I think that's part of the problem, and then the weird time issues, that was an issue.
I think the reason they had to do that is because, as you said, by the time they made this movie, Iron Man had kind of fallen out of most of the public conscious.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, it wasn't super popular. His comic book had fallen off, and...
Well, I'm just saying, unlike Spider-Man, I can understand why they had to start the film with a media package on the guy for exposition.
Right. Yes, yeah.
The villain is a clone of the hero. No matter how good he is, this is a problem Marvel seems to do a lot, and it does get kind of lame.
It happens pretty much throughout the Infinity Saga. I'm trying to think of a movie where the villain wasn't a clone, and they all are. Except for Captain Marvel. It's kind of weird. But, yeah.
The pacing and how time continuity was edited.
Yeah.
Just often getting lost in that. Really, just like some simple fades would have really helped with that.
Yeah. Something. It was
something.
It didn't feel like the movie was all over the place, but the time continuity made the pacing seem weird.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Landlines.
Landlines?
Look, I know it was 2008, but honestly, still, like, very few people had landlines in 2008.
2008, a lot of older people still had landlines, buddy.
Robert Downey Jr. was playing like a 28-year-old in that movie.
Yeah, he probably would have never had a landline being a billionaire.
No. Now that we've run over our major pros and cons, let's go over the final star rating.
Sure.
Plus 10 stars for RTJ's pure Tony Stark energy. Plus 5 stars for Jeff Bridges being perfect, even if he becomes a cartoon villain at the end. Plus 2 stars for the robot arm running gags. And plus 1 star for everything else. Minus 3 stars for plot convenience. Minus 3 stars for physics convenience. Minus 2 stars for long setup. Minus 1 star for all the little things I don't have the time to point out. And minus 1 stars for Goop Lady not having perfect chemistry with Tony. For a final score of 8 arc reactors. A very good place to launch a long-running series of intertwining franchises.
All right. Very good. Very good. All right. So, as far as movies go in the spectrum, this is the number 1 movie.
So far.
For costume and comic book accuracy, again, taking first place. They plucked his origin right out of the comic book. They changed nothing about it.
Other than updating.
Other than updating. CGI and special effects, well, it did get an Oscar nomination, number 1. Tie-ins and post-credit scene, which we didn't even talk about.
The effects were jaw-dropping in some of these scenes.
Yes.
I'm talking about practical, old-school effects.
Yeah. The CGI and the special effects of this was just fantastic. I said it Oscar nomination. It's been magnificent. The post-credit scene, which we didn't even talk about. which was the official introduction of Nick Fury to us. The villain, number one. Number one. I like him better than the Red Skull. And whatever Jude Law was doing, whatever.
I would say he's a better villain than the Red Skull. He's more
Yes.
intimidating. They're just as cartoonish, and Red Skull was far more dumb.
Yes. Hero and arc, I'm going to give it a number one here. And only it's kind of because I know where the arc is going, but even in this movie, you could see where it's headed, right? He's not an asshole by the end of this film. Whereas Captain America is still Captain America in all of the films. Sidekick. He didn't really have... Well, I mean, he had Rhodey. I'm going to have to give this a number 2 in Sidekick because fucking Bucky Barnes is Bucky Barnes. That's going to be a tough sidekick to be
Bucky.
for a long time. Rhodey didn't do much in this except for confuse us as to what he does at all.
He did everything but his job.
Which we still don't know what it is.
You know?
The overall plot is pretty straightforward, and I'm going to go ahead and rank it number 1 because it is straightforward. It is the origin of Iron Man.
It's simple and straightforward, but it's effective.
Right, it's effective. It's a simple, straightforward plot. That's why I'm giving it a number 1. I understand that it's not convoluted.
Sometimes simplicity is good.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Exactly, not convoluted.
The villain's accomplice, he didn't really have one, except for Box of Scraps guy.
No, Raza.
Raza's the accomplice. He's no Zola, so yeah, this is going to be number 2.
Raza sucks. He just smokes cigarettes in Aura Farms. And he's so stupid. He literally looks at Tony, making obviously not what he's talking about, and then he just goes, well, anyway, I want to be the man with the Jericho missile, so you should make that for real, not this.
Right.
He's dumb. Raza's dumb.
So, yes, this is Raza is number 2. We're going to go with Zola is still a higher ranked accomplice than Raza.
Zola, way greater than Raza.
Way greater than Raza. Girlfriend. We're going to have to give Pepper Potts a number 2 category here because she's competing against Peggy Carter.
I feel like later Pepper Potts would definitely Iron Man 3 or
when
later.
When we get to those movies, she might rank higher. She might.
Yeah, she might rank higher. But they just didn't have it yet.
No. That's why she's in the number 2 spot right now. Sets and locations. God, the sets were really fucking good in Captain America. I just got to say. And most of the practicality.
Yeah, they were pretty generic here. Mostly felt like real world. His house was cool, but Afghanistan was obviously Utah.
His house wasn't real, by the way. Did you know that? That's not a real house.
I know it's not.
That's all composite and yeah.
But the interior of his house, it's really cool.
It is. We're going to give this a number 1 for right now, and it's a tentative 1. Captain America's hanging up there. It's almost a tie right now, but we'll see where it shakes out. We'll rank the sets a number 1. It's all right. The sets are good. They are good. The music is good. Again, number 1. We got Back in Black, I Am Iron Man. Nice. They had suicidal tendencies.
You said they had the callbacks to the old show.
Yes, the callback to the Iron Man cartoon. Yes, music is number 1.
Yeah, the theme.
Stan Lee cameo. As Hugh Hefner, no lines. Is it as good as the Captain America? I thought he'd be taller.
Yes.
Or the Stan Lee on the bus.
No.
No, Stanley on the bus, huh? That's a pretty good one.
Stanley on the bus is so good. The Mallrats reference.
As he's reading the Mallrats script and everything, yeah. So, yeah, Stanley on the bus will probably be number 1 for right now. With this one probably sliding into number 2.
Do you like the joke of him as being a playboy, being confused for Hef better than I thought he'd be taller? And which joke do you prefer, basically?
That's a good question. I think I like him to be taller better, personally, because
there we go.
Stan Lee making quips is always a little bit funnier than just his face. There you go.
I'm a lecher. I like the hef joke.
Yeah, that's a good joke.
This is a film that shoots for the sky and nails it without freezing over. It was good then and stands up now. It set the standard. It set the tone. And it started the tropes of the MCU. Would I recommend it? Absolutely. Especially seeing as how this is one of the very few Marvel films you can see without homework. And for every other reason given previously. Would I change anything? There's a lot of minor complaints, but it's mostly endearing stuff to make fun of, and remember, perfection is impossible. But I would re-edit it for better pacing, and less confusion about the flow of time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't disagree with you about the flow of time and the pacing. It's not like it was poorly paced, it's just oddly paced, and you lose track of where and when these characters are supposed to be throughout the movie. Final verdict. I give this movie an A. Not quite an A+. Would I recommend it? Absolutely. If you're going to start the Marvel franchise and you want to start with the movie that started it all, I highly recommend Iron Man. It's up there with one of my all-time favorite superhero movies. Would I change anything about this movie? No, because then that would change the tone and the overall feel and vibe of this movie, which I think was important to set the tone and overall feel and vibe for the MCU. So no, I wouldn't change anything.
That's a good point, yeah. Well, join us next time when we keep the Iron Train rolling with the sequel, Iron Man 2. I'm Agent Sedgwick.
And I'm Agent Carter. Agents out.
Captured outgunned. Billionaire built like a billion suns. Jensen's death lit the spark. The true birth of Iron Man's heart. With Jarvis by his side, yeah, he can fly. But his partner turned and left him to die. It took shrapnel to the heart just to learn it existed. Saw the blood on his hands and his conscience resisted. Built in a cave, born in a war. $1 billion mine, superpower core. He was selling death while sipping on scotch till the 10 rings made him watch the clock. Gave him some junk, demanded a weapon with less than a clue of what they'd handed. Tony in the lab like a god with guilt. Red hot hands in a house he built. Legacy's ashes, Obi played cold, but Stark made armor from the lies he sold. With Jarvis by his side, yeah, he can fly. But his partner turned and left him to die. It took shrapnel to the heart just to learn it existed. Saw the blood on his hands and his conscience resisted. Built in a cave, born in a war. $1 billion mine, superpower core. He wasn't a hero, only haunted steel. Broken heart like a bomb he refused to feel. Pepper saw the man through his armor every single time, but then Stain was only worried about the bottom line. Obi tried to copy the king, but his shit was whack. Dime Store Brutus tried to kill Tony for the bag. From Jericho missiles to rooftop hell, Tony touched the heavens, but then he fell. Arc reactor glow, new heart, old sin. He turned shame into power locked deep within. No mask, no lies, no fallback plan. Just truth, a smirk, and a raised right hand. Alcoholic asshole, he's got his soul to prove. The spark that lit the fuse. Savage God in iron shoes. Tony Stark built this in a cave with a box of fucking scraps. With a box of fucking scraps in a cave. Tony Stark built this in a cave with a box of fucking scraps. With a fucking box of scraps. Box died. Infinity, no cape, no scam. Looked them dead in the eye and said, I am Iron Man. With a box of scraps, in a cave with scraps. Fucking box of scraps, in a cave with scraps. Tony Stark built this, he built it in a cave with scraps. Tony Stark built this, the MCU. I am Iron Man. I am Iron Man.
Tony comes in to find Nick Fury on his couch, mocking his bombshell admission. He says he's here to talk about the Avenger Initiative. You know, that folder he's been sitting on for 14 years. And that's it. But to be fair, this was the first film, and the post-credit scene existing alone was talked about like crazy, and its implications were already hyping people up.
Oh, and the Lost episode post-credit scene where he talks about other problems like mutants and all sorts of other stuff, which they couldn't legally say at the time, which is why he just talks about the Avengers Initiative. But yeah, this was phenomenal. This lets you know right here, right now, to watch this space because more shit was coming and it was going to be connected. And
So hard.
People lost their shit, dude, because it's the first time that anything like that ever happened.
Right on their chest.
What?